Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kind for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. How are my peeps doing? I trust everybody is doing just fine. Anyway, let's get to our scroll. For all those on, remember the new thing that I'm doing is I'll call you out if you put your city and state. I'll call you out if you put your city and state. And on the other chat, likewise. But how are we doing? Michael Rudnin says, wait. Let's see. Michael Rudnin, first one in the house again. He says, X regions detection features isn't perfect, but the main impact of what it shows is what the majority of MAGA pundit accounts are. Foreigners doing foreign influence operations for money. So what the big thing that you see on the screens are not real. Welcome aboard, Barbara Fetante from Austin, Texas. How you doing, beautiful? Great to have you there. I hope you got over all that heavy rain in the hill country. We also have El Senor Bruce Pollard is called in from Minneapolis, Minnesota. He flies out of Texas to Minneapolis to see his grandkids often. They love you out there. Weather okay there? Yeah, the sun is out. We had a lot of rain last night. We need it. We need a lot more, to put it bluntly. All right, welcome aboard, Michael Rudnin. Thank you for that X information. Carrie Catart, psychopathy mirroring and imitating the gold is rapidly dismantling the target defenses by creating an intense, immediate feeling of trust and kinship. More evidence that he is pretty severely mentally ill. I think we're talking about the president, right? Okay, I haven't checked my Facebook messages, but when I read that, I jumped into my chat and I saw, is it the Reagan thing that you're talking about? I didn't read it. I just kind of saw it scanned in the chat. All right, Harry Denson, Missouri City, Texas. How you doing, buddy? Welcome aboard. Let's see, Egberto, Paul's video is worth playing. Got a few minutes. Where's Paul's video? Breaking news. Let's see, is that the one with the Cash Patel or worked all night? Which one is it? Let's see. I'm looking for Brother Fleming. Worked all night to get this clip up, but anywho, repeal. Let's see if I can see what the clip is. Right. Okay, I'll play that clip from our brother. Let's go ahead and pause it for a second if I can. Doesn't let me pause it, but I'll put it on the screen. You know, your wish is my command, guys. Your wish is my command, guys. All right, let's go ahead and get it done now.
Now not their contours were being leaked this morning. Maybe it doesn't sound so bad. I mean, what does it tell you that the White House was there maybe earlier and now not there later?
It tells me that those Democrats probably have an election and a tough seat. There's nobody who believes that Republicans know how to fix health care in this country. What Barack Obama did with the Affordable Care Act, we call it Obamacare affectionately, was make sure that he expanded health care coverage for millions of Americans. Whether or not you were going up to 26 years old, whether or not we were expanding Medicaid in different states, whether or not we were eliminating the ability for insurance companies, and David probably remembers this, but insurance companies could kick you off or not cover you because of pre-existing conditions. And Barack Obama eliminated all of that. Does it need tweaks? Does it need help? Does it need work? Yeah. But we've realized a long time ago, ever since John McCain did the infamous thumbs down, that Republicans don't know how to fix health care. That is a fact. They've been running on repeal and replace Obamacare for how long? I mean, my kids weren't born. My kids weren't born. They'll be celebrating their 7th birthday in January. My kids weren't born when Republicans started talking about repeal and replace. I mean, that's how laughable it is. Does Obamacare need to be fixed? Yes. Does it need to be updated? Yes. Does it need to grow with the times? Of course. But one of the things you can't do, John and David, is you can't pass the one big beautiful bill and eliminate the subsidies and then say, oh my God, the healthcare costs are rising. This is why a lot of people had trouble with the government shutdown. This is why when you look at this in with 50,000-foot lenses, you recognize that the Republicans now own this because they're the reason that the costs are actually spiking.
Well, no plan.
Exactly right. Look, the Republican Party is an inept party, and one does not have to be partisan to be able to say that. The Republican Party is an inept party. They have accomplished absolutely nothing. I want you to ask yourself. First of all, let's give some numbers. The GDP under Republican leadership is always less than Democrats on the average of 33% less. That's huge. So they're not good for the economy. Uh, so so they like to run on being good with the economy. Their budget deficits far exceed budget deficits of Democrats. In fact, the only person to balance a budget, not the debt, budget, was Bill Clinton in the recent decades. Not a Republican, a Democrat. They are fiscally irresponsible. They are, you know that friend that you had in school that talked about knowing to do everything but actually accomplish nothing? That's who they are. Give me a Republican accomplishment that helped humanity, that helped the individual. You cannot name anything. Now we can name as the host, the panelists there named. He named a few things that even the as bad as we think the Affordable Care Act is. Those of us who were fighting for Medicare for all, then let's be clear: Republicans are a failure in governing. Yet they always want to govern, to destroy government. Look at what Donald Trump has done to the administrative state. Look at what Donald Trump has done. He has destroyed the education department. He has destroyed USAID. He has destroyed all these aspects of government that either gives us goodwill or do something important for society or the world. Destroyed. And in doing so, costed us over $150 billion from Doge that was supposed to save money. Doge costed us money. A lot. Look it up. So the Republican Party is a utter and complete failure with a big mouth. That's it. Nothing else. If you can name me something that I tell you what, anybody who can call me or type to me an accomplishment by the Republican Party for the national good, write it or type it or text it or call. They have completely failed at everything that they do. Anyway, we got stuff to talk about. We've got stuff to talk about. Ray Brackens is on the air. Ray, how you doing, brother?
Yeah, I answer your challenge, Egberto.
Okay, I'm taking your challenge, brother. Talk to me.
So I know something that the Republicans have contributed to humanity for the greater good.
Please tell me.
You know, they have lit a fire under the proverbial ass of the Democratic Party, pun intended, to do better. So
Okay.
it's like basically the Republican Party is so horrible. The Democratic Party always has someone to look at and say, well, we can do better than that. Let's at least try to include more people. Let's try to, bring this thing under a big umbrella. They keep wanting to keep the tent small. Let's expand the tent. And basically, expansion has been, the Democratic name, which I love it. I'm not against it. And I kind of hate that, this last election cycle made us throw some people under the bus, namely the transgender and LGBT community, which all they're trying to do is exist, But I saw I saw a clip that was kind of disturbing, and it was disgusting actually. Someone was talking to a young man and say, would he rather be transgender or a P3DO? And his answer was not what you would want to hear. It was disgusting, and he misrepresented himself, very poorly in that clip. And that just shows you how disgusting this society is when, you look at the people who are supposed to be the standard of society, the politicians, the rich people, and, they're the scum of the earth. But yet they're in
Absolutely.
power. So people have done this. People have become Simone Biles in their mind, meaning
Right.
the mental gymnastics they've done to be able to justify these people being in their position of power when it was nothing but money and corruption. And while people sat on their asses not doing anything, Mitch McConnell piled the courts with a bunch of judges that slowly just peeled away our rights like a little onion. And now here we're sitting, exposed because we didn't do what we needed to do to protect our rights when we had a black man in power, when we had a Democratic majority. We just took all that for granted, But that's what I say. The Republican Party, if it's done any good, it's, energized the Democratic Party to actually give a dang about the people that they claim they want to represent and make progress, instead of taking backroom deals and money from APAC and all that stuff like that. Actually do progressive work that's going to move this country forward
Well,
in society.
very true. Let me tell you, Lee Grant, our good friend Lee Grant, Mr. Conservative, said Reagan won the Cold War. Let's be clear. Reagan didn't win the Cold War. President after president won the Cold War. It started from Kennedy. Let's be very clear. It didn't start with Reagan. It's all you know what? Republicans are like capitalism, right? All the people, everybody else does the work, and then the last person that profits it's the last person that profits from it. I have over the Turkey Day holidays. I don't say Thanksgiving. I say Turkey Day. Over the Turkey Day holiday, I'm going to be playing some very strong interviews. I just did one with Dr. Richard Wolf. As just before I got onto the program today, I just did one with Dr. Richard Wolf. I'll be playing that either Thursday or Friday. I just did, and right after this program, I'm talking to Wendell Potter. Anybody who knows Wendell Potter? Wendell Potter is the insurance company whistleblower. Let me bring Patrick into the conversation as well. Stay on. Yeah. The other interview that I have is with Wendell Potter, who we're going to talk about the fraud that is Medicare from the person who worked on the inside. Because I've been having all these people that's been, oh, I don't think Medicare is all so bad. Medicare Advantage XYZ. Well, I have the guy who worked for the corporatocracy. He is going to be on with me at 4:15 today, and I'm rolling all of this up for Thursday and Friday when the shows are going to be all new, albeit taped. I'll be elsewhere eating my turkey, but I'll have my phone, hopefully, so that I can talk to you guys as we go ahead. And we're getting a full house today. I'll be talking to you guys as these things play. I think I have the automation set up correctly. I probably won't sleep tonight as I set it all up, but let me tell you guys, we are going to be doing some information. Anyway, hey, Bruce Pollard, Meredith having the baby next week. Give Meredith a big. Meredith is my daughter through Bruce, man. It's Bruce's daughter. Hey, look, Bruce, Meredith a big hug from her Uncle Egg here. All right. All right, let's see. Hold a second, Ray. Let's go to Patrick. What's up, Patrick?
I don't want to step on Ray or anything, but I took exception to the Lead the Bearcat statement. It couldn't have been further from the truth.
What?
Reagan took credit for something that he had nothing to do
Exactly.
with. When the Berlin Wall came down, that had nothing to do with Reagan. That had to do with the East and West getting along, and the East was no longer interested in defending that wall, and they were told that it was coming down, and that was by a Eastern German politician. And then another thing that I like to point out is Gorbachev is a pretty good person from what I understand and from what I read. And Gorbachev went to Reagan with a very friendly challenge. He said that communism would beat capitalism. And the way Reagan took it with a 100 IQ was that he was challenging him to a type of war. And Reagan took steps to bankrupt and to reduce the Soviet Union for no reason. And then both sides spent money that they could have spent on their people on building weapons. And you never ever want to forcefully bankrupt another society because of what happens today, where we are going through the repercussions of bankrupting the former Soviet Union. And so that statement is probably one of the most ignorant one I've ever heard.
Yeah, let me just say, it is interesting, right? Because what Reagan did. Let me just say, Lee Grant says, Chat GPT says, did Reagan win the Cold War? Yes, many historians and political analysts attribute a significant role in the conclusion of the Cold War to President Reagan. Notice, I hope you can read that well, Lee Grant. It says, it didn't say Reagan won the Cold War. It says, yes, many historians and political analysts attribute it to Reagan. I mean, you know what the Republican Party is good at doing? Taking credit. And ChatGPT has all these historians that are out there saying, let's give Reagan credit. Reagan never had enough upstairs. Again, like I said, it was the State Department of Kennedy, State Department of Johnson, State Department of Nixon, State Department of Ford, State Department of Carter. All of these guys were instrumental in bringing down, not bringing down, because I hate to use that, in the Soviet Union collapsing on its own right. I think John wants to enter the discussion as well. Yeah, so we cannot sit down. Look, the one thing that you have to do is make educated statements, and that was not one. Read what ChatGPT actually said. All right, John, you want to say something?
Yeah, you really have to be careful about Chat GPT because it's like vanilla. They just throw this all together and then they come out with a statement. But I think, I mean, this is my own personal opinion, that the Soviet Union was falling apart because it couldn't deliver the goods to its population. They never reached, these communist ideals. The shops were bare, and they finally realized that this is just not working, and it fell in on itself.
Right,
is what I think, and it happened over many.
John,
yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
let me just say this,
Yeah.
John. Let me just say this. Central planning in a humongously huge country cannot work. And I don't believe in central planning, right? I mean,
Right.
there are certain things that should be centralized. We should have single payer for healthcare. We should have some
Right.
subsidized transportation. There are goals that we can meet without having to sit down and talk
Right.
about central planning. So I mean, because again, that's the whole thing that
If I
brought
could
them down.
chime in, they relied on a war economy as well, and that was unsustainable.
That is
See,
also true.
Yeah.
we could have taken those
Very, very
same
true.
concepts with our consumer based economy, which already is very plentiful, and apply some of those principles. We don't have to call it what they called it, but
Right.
it could work here. But we spent so
Well,
much of our energy as a society
yeah.
fighting that ideal as a society that we basically cheered the downfall instead of wanting to work with them and
Yeah.
seeing what we
I
could
want to be. I
learn
want to
and
observe
be a
something
better.
here. I want to observe something here. We are comprised, all of us here, a great community. The PDR posse is what we call ourselves. But let me tell you something that I hope at some time we can get over as a family, and that is most of the times. And by the way, Patrick, Ray, John, I love all of you calling in. I want us to call in more to have more of a discussion as a topic as well as reading the chats. I want us to do it all. But let me tell you what I also want to see. And this is a message to our women in the chat. I want us to change the paradigm, and I don't want to overstep my bounds. But in a lot of these things, women just don't come in here and lay the land, lay the way of the land. We all of you, our women have been the leaders in what we have going on in this in fixing in recovering what Trump has done. I am working every day when I go out there into our activism, etc. You know who are the ones carrying the bastion most of the times are our women, and I just would love to hear more of them when we have these phone calls and more of them when we have chat. So this is my humble request to get more female participation if possible. So just saying, ladies, just saying. All right, continue, please. Who was speaking? I forgot.
Well, I would like to say that democratic socialism does work, and we have evidence of that with. I mean, I could list all the countries, but I won't. And I think that is the ideal form of
Yes.
democracy mixed with economy. The political economy should be that certain things are taken out of the capitalist enterprise, like healthcare, because of course, life is precious. Why should there be a price on it? And that's what happens with that. And education is another area that we should not allow neoliberalism to create a system, because it just creates profit. And Trump has denigrated two of those areas, education, because now they've been depressed. They're no longer considered professionals, and I mean that's just absurd. The same with nurses. So
John,
I'd like to hear from
I've
you.
been trying to figure out
Yeah,
why did they do that. I mean, it to me it seemed like almost an attack on women and minorities because those jobs that they
it's attack
declassified.
women. Yep.
Yeah,
Go
to,
ahead.
to
Yep.
devalue the labor force that they already had a low value in their minds as well. I mean, it's probably a page off of Project 2025 if I had to guess, but I hadn't really dug that deep
Yeah,
in it.
I don't know the answer. That's why I
Yep.
asked. But I want to
Oh,
point out that Bruce in the chat says, "Are you saying China is not working?" I had a good chat today. I'll be played sometime in the next 2 days with Dr. Richard Wolff, the economist, and we talk a little bit about China, how effective China is working. And let me just say, Bruce, China is working right now a lot more efficiently than the United States. And because what they have is
yep.
they have a hybrid. They have
Yeah.
a private sector, a strong private sector, as well as a managed economy. And the managed part of the economy is exactly like we speak about. to protect the individual people. So the one thing that the people don't have is as much of a voice in their.
Are
Wait, let me back up. I want to correct this. We would claim that the difference between their more managed economy is that the people don't have a say with their government. And I am going to back that up and say, do we have a say with the government when the things that the people want, they don't get, but the things that the corporatocracy want, they get? Think about that.
yeah,
Anyhow, anything
yeah,
else, guys?
yeah. I guess
I would
Okay,
I
let's
could
go to
say
Patrick
something
first.
else.
Let's go to Patrick first. Go, Patrick.
Yeah, yeah,
uh, two quick things. I would say that the economic success, and resistance to Trump's tactics with China is causing Trump to change what he is doing. So they're beating us in an economic war. And then back to Reagan, it would take a minute or two, but I could argue that Chernobyl was Reagan's fault.
Yeah,
And
let's do that another
he's
day,
responsible
Patrick.
for it.
I want to hear that story, but let's do that one another day. But let's go to Ray. Close her out for me before, because I got to play some videos.
Yeah, I'm going to paraphrase the great MLK real quick when he said after Reconstruction, they gave the white people a bunch of land and they gave the black man basically freedom to starve and to hunger and to perish without any resources. And that's basically where I'm going to leave it. Thanks.
I want to jump on that. I want all our audience to understand something here. When they opened up the lands west, remember, when the land was stolen from the indigenous and opened it west, the people who
yeah,
could go get land grabs were only white men of a certain persuasion, right? Not even
yeah,
all white men could get it, just certain types of white men could get it. And black
yeah,
folks, when they got their freedom from slavery, remember, think about this. Somebody lived in a closet for all of their lives. They get their freedoms and you throw them out there. What are they supposed to do? How are they supposed to get
right.
by? So think about that. Anyway, thank you for that one, dear Ray. Okay, close her out for me, John, and then I got to get to some videos.
I used to live in New Mexico, and yeah, it was a land grab, and the Latino population, which used to have, they had land from the King of Spain, from the Duke of Albuquerque. I knew people that were land grantors. All of that was taken away and given, to the white men, and they were white men of property because you had to have a certain amount of money to invest in developing that land. So it
Right.
wasn't open to everyone. Yeah. So yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Hey, my three brothers, I appreciate your call in. I hope later on we can get some ladies in. I love to hear ladies' voices too. Thank you very much, guys. We'll talk a little bit later. Let's go ahead and play our first video of the day. Jake Tapper. I want you to see this piece that I did on him. Extra, extra. Today, Jake Tapper, CNN host, displayed a modicum of a spine when he interviewed Senator Bill Cassidy. And I want to tell you something. Normally, when Democrats are being interviewed, when progressives are being interviewed, when others are being interviewed, Jake Tapper is usually tough on them. But you bring a Republican into the House, he generally lets them slide. Well, all these hosts on mainstream media make them slide with a whole lot of easy comebacks or no comebacks at all. Well, today, Tapper didn't do that. And there's something that I constantly say. When these guys do well, we should give them the kudos with the expectation that these kudos, wherever it's coming from, will kind of urge them to do better, even as we know the influence from the corporatocracy would have them continue the modus operandi. But again, kudos to Jake Tapper. I want you to see how we push back on Senator Bill Cassidy here.
as you know, this goes way beyond just vaccinations. A member of the Kennedy family this weekend, Tatiana Schlossberg, JFK's granddaughter, she has a moving essay in The New Yorker about her fatal cancer diagnosis. And in it, she writes, quote, "As I spent more and more of my life under the care of doctors, nurses, and researchers striving to improve the lives of others, I watched as Bobby," that's a reference to RFK Jr., "cut nearly $500 million for research into mRNA vaccines, technology that could be used against certain cancers. He slashed billions in funding from the NIH." And she goes on and on and on. RFK Jr., according to his own family, is causing real damage to the health of the United States of America. You don't seem willing to criticize him by name at all, unlike members of his family.
So, Jake, clearly, this conversation, you want me to be on the record saying something negative. And, of course, it makes news if Republicans spite each other. I get that.
I don't even know that he's a Republican.
Rather focusing upon, or whatever. But I'm all about how do we make America healthy? And I speak as a physician. And I don't think the tit for tat is what people are about. I don't think the inside the beltway, oh, he said, she said, he said, he said. I think what's important, Jake, and what we should be focused on right now is how do we make America healthy? You mentioned healthcare costs. Right now, some insurance policies are so expensive that people cannot afford the deductible, so they don't get the needed care. That actually has more of an impact upon making people healthy than the New Yorker essay, which is a good essay, I understand. I'm not minimizing. But if we're actually going to speak to people, get vaccinated, discuss with your physician, but also how do we help it so you can afford the health care? And so, Jake, I know it's titillating, but I think we need to move beyond the titillation into actually what matters to the American people.
I'm going to turn to your health care plan because I know you really want to talk about it, but I'll just say this isn't about titillation. This is about the fact that you are the chairman of the health committee. And you voted to confirm somebody that, by all accounts from the medical and scientific community and his own family, including his dying cousin, this health secretary is actually making America less healthy when it comes to vaccines and studies.
So, yes, Bill Cassidy wanted to make it seem like, oh, Jake Tapper wanted to create a civil war between Republican against Republican. Of course, Jake Tapper, again, he's a very smart dude. Normally doesn't show a lot of it with Republicans, but he showed it here. He said, whoa. Kennedy's not even a Republican. And by the way, you're the one who put him there. So I am not looking to be titillating or anything like that. I am just saying that this guy's a clear and present danger. You are the vote that got him there. Why don't you ever speak out against him by name? Why don't you actually do what's necessary so the American populace of all sides would see this guy is a clear and present danger to the American people? Jake did it. And he didn't just do it for one cycle. He did it and he got back. Kudos to you, Jake Tapper. Now let's keep that up. But of course, we know we cannot trust that these people would come back because, in fact, after this, watching other news of the Sunday morning, we watch the lies go uncontested, the misinformation go uncontested. But for this one, good job, Jake Tapper. Oliver, what you guys think? Was that a good job by Jake Tapper or what? It's titillated, man. Oh no, you're the ones who did it, buddy. You are the one who did it. Anyway, folks, the telephone number is 28. Let me put it. Call in number is 281 823 7747. 281 823 7747. Give me a call. Whoever you are, give me a call. Hey, Mr. Zarnik, I see that you're in the house. Do you have a limerick for us today, Mr. Zarnik? I don't see one. I thought I saw your name, but I didn't see it attached to this is a limerick, Egberto. We've been missing you. All right. Let's see. Yes, Mr. Radin, mixed economies are always what works. A mixed economy. Anyway, I told you guys about being with Jasmine Crockett and Jamie Raskin over the weekend. Well, here is Jasmine on. I think it was funny because the few hours later, after seeing her, she's right here on I think it was NBC. So she must have been at the studio here in Houston. But check this out. Marjorie Taylor Greene resigned. Marjorie Taylor Greene is Donald Trump's victim. Marjorie Taylor Greene wants to know, why does he treated me so badly? You know, now that Marjorie Taylor Greene has been excoriated by the president, really hit hard by the president, she's crying foul. But of course, she ought to remember that she was the part of the group doing these things. Look, I want Marjorie Taylor to be in our domain. I mean, we could use her. We could use her influence to affect others, to have them change over and be good, moral people who believe in policies that support humanity. But, you know, Jasmine Crockett has a question for her. Do you know that what you're feeling now is what so many had to go through, not only at the hands of the president, but even at the hands of your own words? Check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side.
Seems to be suggesting that it is their disagreement over the release of the Epstein files that is causing this shocking political breakup. What's your response to that?
I mean, listen, he's upset with Thomas Massie, and so he's gone after him. He's upset with Boebert. He's upset with any Republican that actually signed the discharge petition. But somehow they were able to weather the storm. So, you know, this really speaks to the fact that Marjorie, who has been an instigator of a lot of this hate that we see as it relates to the MAGA movement, you know, it's just interesting that I don't know if she really fully understood how bad she was making it for other people. And now that they're doing it to her, you know, I just got to say, well, why is it that everyone else is able to stand and you can't?
Jasmine Crockett nails it. And I hope as others find out what being a part of the MAGA base is all about, when you take a look from the outside and then looking in, that just maybe it will change them to be a bit more considerate to the rest of the people, if you will. But you know what? I'm going to say one thing before I end on Marjorie Taylor Greene. Right now, the country is in trouble, and we ought to take help from wherever it comes from. And if she, no matter what her motivation is, can bring down these people that are really turning the country over to the plutocracy, to the autocrat puppeteers, I should say, then, hey, girl, welcome conditionally. Welcome conditionally, and I mean that. Welcome conditionally. Atone, and you're back in. Atone, and you are back in. Pamela says it was mentioned on another site that all these professions that were eliminated are required reporters for abuse. Oh. But then, even if that's the case, right, right, Pamela? What would doing that, how would that still, I don't, even if that's the case, I'm still trying to, maybe there's something I'm missing there. All right, let's go back to the chat. Let's see. Mike Cisak says the ACA's emergent debt spiral 2014 exchanges launch. Young people say out, pool ages 2016, premium spike, insurer states 2018. Let's point out a few things that Mike Cisak is not cognizant of. If you don't have a mandate that says everybody has to be in, then of course those young people are likely to stay out. It is Republicans who decided to mess with the ACA to make it fiscally irresponsible. The whole premise behind the ACA is everybody in. And we had the penalty that says if you are not in, okay, we'll give you a penalty. And what is that penalty for? Well, you see, if you get into a car accident and you don't have insurance, we're going to take care of you anyway. So we did the responsible thing when the ACA was written back yay yonder. Maybe you don't recall that because you choose not to, but we had something called the mandate. All right. And what that mandate did is it ensured that young, healthy people were also in the ACA. Now, look, the bottom line is the following. There is no magic to healthcare. The only reason we had exchanges and private health insurance companies in the ACA was to make some money that the plutocracy could skim. No other reason. There is no other reasons for private health insurance companies at all, because all they do is pay a bill. But to make money, they have to deny as much as possible. They have to do what's called risk management. You only have to do risk management if you're competing with other companies doing the same thing and you're trying to get a better, healthier group of folk than that other company. Now, Obamacare eliminated some of what you could manage because everybody had to get insurance when they applied. Everybody had to get insurance, which is the right thing to do. But bottom line is the only solution. I repeat, the only mathematically sound solution is for there to be one payer. The doctors go in, give their bills and their invoices, and this one payer from the government pays the bill. And where does that money come from? All of us pay a premium based on how much we make. And that's it. It's not rocket science. We are given up to 30 something percent off the top to waste. And how is that waste defined? Profit for CEO, or rather, uh, uh, executive bonuses, CEO, shareholder, shares holder value, shareholder dividend, duplicated services, advertising, all those insurance ads that you see on TV. They're not paying for that. You are. That is a 33% overhead or more when you do the real calculations that you'll see. One pair, when you have one pair, I repeat, when you have one pair, insurance companies only have to go to one place to get the bill, or rather, a doctor's office only go one place to pay a bill. They can get rid of the entire staff that spends their time on the phone trying to get pre-authorization, group number, and all of that they pay a big staff to do. That expense is gone. All the advertising expenses, gone. No more risk management. But again, they want to make you dumb, to make you believe that that's not how it works. Bobby Kay says, as a society, when we see a person down, we should see a need to help, not an opportunity to make money. There you go, Bobby. You're right. Funny how they talk about $2,000 checks for people, but insist they need elderly people's Medicaid money. Yeah, right. It is ridiculous. The thing about it is, we are partially responsible for this. We have to educate. You say, look, I've been on the program for 47 minutes now. This is the fifth or sixth Humana and other Medicare Advantage commercials I'm watching. Do you know how much that costs? And do you know who's paying for that? That just tells you the profit margin that these people make out of ripping you off at Medicare Advantage. I'm watching the TV right now. I bet in the next 10 minutes there are another two of them that comes on. Makes no sense. Makes no sense whatsoever. Anyway, folks, give me a call. The telephone number is 281-823-7747. Anybody want to comment on what we're talking about? I have one more subject, but before I get into that subject, I'd like to see if anybody wants to call in. But we have another important subject to cover. All right. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Warfare over healthcare. This is a personal story. You need to get Umana to sponsor you. I know I would be rich, Bruce. I would go from not even breaking even, because I'm not, all the way to making a lot of money. Harry, what's up, my dear brother?
Okay, well, what's up is when you were talking about Medicare just now, Advantage, and this morning when you were talking to the audience, well, I thought about calling this morning, but a lot of people were calling, so I just said, let me leave it for this afternoon, because they'll probably talk about it for this afternoon. Well, I had a question for you. You were talking about, I remember what you said this morning when you said that the reason they came up with the Obamacare for people like you, when you had your software company and you were paying these ridiculous amounts of premiums for medical insurance. And so they came up with the gold plan, silver plan for the Affordable Care Act, and then you went into single payer, and why we need to get single payer, because even Obama himself said it didn't go far enough, and we need more public funding for it to make it more affordable. But I remember some months ago you were talking about a bill that because your wife had a procedure done with her lupus, and you were saying that you had gotten a letter that was like a $2,000 medical bill, something like that. I think $2,800 or something. And you said you were lobbying, you wrote blogs and stuff, why you were not going to pay that bill. And I was just wondering, because you haven't brought it up in months, are you still standing by that? You're not going to pay that bill?
Oh, absolutely. I am saying I want folks, because again, the insurance company paid their portion enough of what needed to be paid, that they arbitrarily charge us more than what they charge somebody else. I mean, it's a racket. Let me give you an example here. Very important example.
Go ahead.
My wife had to go ahead and get an MRI of her lungs. Okay. Because when she got the shingles, a lot of stuff happened and her lungs got damaged and all of that. Okay. So the insurance company, this is another story. But the insurance company, Harry, was going to charge us $800. That was our portion of the MRI. $800. The insurance policy that she has says we are paying for it, but your deductible, not your deductible, your copay is $800 for this. We went ahead, and I said absolutely not. I went ahead and called around and found different imaging areas here in Houston, Texas. And we ended up paying I think it was, don't quote me on this, I think it was $256 for just walking in without saying we don't have insurance. Walking in, and they did the scan for $256. In other words, what I'm saying is the insurance company was going to make a profit on something that they supposedly cover, because they would likely pay less than $256 for that scan and charge us $800 under the pretense that was our copay. It's a racket. They're thieves. So what I want to do is the following, and I'd like more people to do this, and that is let them come after you and print out exactly what they claim these bills are for, and then put it on the internet and find other people that are taking the same thing, and then going ahead and exposing these thugs for what they are. That is what I want people. If people started doing all this stuff now, but here's the thing, brother, Mike Cisak just made a silly statement. He said, "Oh my gosh, Egberto went and shopped around and paid cash for cheaper, better service." No, we bought insurance under the pretext that the insurance should do its job. We had to work
Yeah,
outside the insurance to show that they were stealing. Again, look at
you
what
were
if
exposing them. You were exposing why they were
right.
ripping you off.
Right, but here's
Yes,
the deal that Mike
and,
Cisak
and
doesn't
you're
get.
just
If
explaining
I
that.
if I break a leg, I don't have the time to go shop around. I don't have the option to go shop around. Mr. Cisak, my brother, grow up and stop being a pawn of a plutocracy and support single payer, my brother. Thank you, Harry. Anything else, real
Right.
quick, my brother?
So, yeah, I have one other question. I would like Patrick Magner to call back if he can today, when he was talking earlier about he could make an argument why Reagan was responsible for the Chernobyl nuclear plant meltdown. I would like him to elaborate on that if he
I
can call
I
back today, or if he
I
doesn't
want
have
him to
time, maybe call back
not today.
tomorrow.
I want him to elaborate on it too, but I don't want to do that today. But thank you, Harry, because we
Okay,
don't
well
have
then
much time.
okay, Patrick, if you can you do that for us tomorrow? If you have time, tomorrow morning, show or afternoon. Okay, have a good
Thank you,
day,
brother.
bro.
Thank you, my brother. Have a good one. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get this over. This particular thing here. Warfare over healthcare. My premium sky. This is a personal story of this woman. My premium skyrockets to $2,600 per month. For the first time in my adult life, I will be uninsured, joining the millions who have navigated this risky reality for years. And for what? Multi-trillion-dollar wars and endless tax breaks for the wealthy. Next year, an estimated 5 million people will be priced out of health insurance in the United States. I am one of them. When I went to renew my family's policy, I was shocked to discover my premium had gone up to $2,600 per month, a price my household of four simply cannot afford. For the first time in my adult life, I will be uninsured, joining the millions who have navigated this risky life. I will be uninsured, joining the millions who have navigated this risky reality for years. It's a bitter pill to swallow, especially a bitter pill to swallow, especially when health insurance already makes access to healthcare costly and extremely unrealistic deductibles and high out of pocket costs. Yet, as a woman in my 40s with a family history of breast cancer, going without coverage is a gamble with my life. But if you don't have the money, you can't buy it. After some number crunching, we concluded that we could afford to carry insurance for only of the four of us. The left us that left this left us with an inhumane choice to decide whose lives we value more. This is not just an abstract dilemma that many households are facing. It is necropolitics in action, the state sanctioned power to decide who lives and dies. This crisis is a direct result of political choices made by those who elected to serve the people and their needs. By allowing the Affordable Care Act subsidies to expire, our elected officials are acting as death panels, comfortable and making a decision that will kill off tens of thousands of their own constituents. That is, remember, the MAGA folks who voted for Donald Trump, who is allowing this to occur, are the ones who are most dependent on what again? The subsidies for the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act, as well as the subsidies for the traditional Affordable Care Act. 40,000 people. All right, continuing. However, these domestic necropolitics are merely a symptom of the U.S. larger death wish, a war economy that serves weapons manufacturers whose jobs is to create machines of death and destruction. As a nation, we manage to muster up trillions each year to fund global conflict and destruction while claiming the price of keeping our own alive is too much. So yeah, we can buy bombs, but we can't buy a healthcare policy. It is a shame. Our government's priority could not be any clearer. It could not be any clearer. For example, in the recent government shutdown, the National Priorities Project reported that the Senate managed to find bipartisan unit unity to approve a $32 billion increase for the Pentagon as part of the National Defense Authorization Act, passing it with an overwhelmingly 77-20 vote. Yet they refused to extend the healthcare subsidies for even a single year, a measure that would have cost roughly $35 billion. Again, $32 billion, easy, 77-20 to buy bombs, to buy things that kill people. $35 billion to give people insurance. We can't do that. This is not a one-off. Congress passes ever-growing Pentagon budget year after year. The 2026 NDAA will be voted on in mid-December. Around the same time, there are whispers of a vote on the healthcare subsidies that could save millions of families from our nightmare. However, only one of these bills is certain to pass with little debate, and it's the one that will and it is not the one that will save our lives. It's the war one, guys. To understand the deadly consequences of these priorities, consider that the annual cost of continuing the ACA is about $30 billion, or roughly $82 million per day. The daily cost of operating a single U.S. aircraft carrier is $8 million. This means that the cost of one carrier for a single day is equivalent to about 10% of the daily cost of providing healthcare subsidies for an entire nation. In other words, the funds spent on one warship for just one day could instead ensure a day of healthcare access for hundreds of thousands of Americans. The math makes it clear that the government is not in the business of serving the people and their needs. Instead, our elected officials sit in high places, callously deciding who they are willing to kill off in order to protect their personal vested interests, whether it's be the Palestinians in Gaza, children in Sudan, boaters in Venezuela, migrants seeking a better life, or hardworking families desperately trying to make ends meet in an economy that only serves a few rather than the many. We live in a system that values war and conflict over the protection of life. And every day they decide that it is okay for more and more of us to die. It is necropolitics all the way down, and we are all on the chopping block. Think about that, folks. We're at the end of the program. I want to thank you all for your ears. Thank you for being with me today. I have interviews that I'll be playing tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday. I will try to get the automation done so that it can also come through automatically to Substack. I'll be working on that all day today. I will try to connect with you with the phone, even as the automated system is working. But I want to thank you all for your ears. I want to also ask all of you who have the wherewithal to please support our program. Best way to support us is becoming paid subscribers of our newsletter, Egberto Off the Record. And how can you do that? You can do that by going to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. I want to thank you once again for supporting us. I want to thank you for making a difference. This is how we succeed. Love you all. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out!
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.